And we're back. We're going to click on the My SAL Calendar button. Again, you can access the calendar through the utilities as well. So here is your calendar. Most people like to have their day scale in 15-minute increments because that's how we bill. Some people hide cancellations. I don't like to do that because if you have a cancellation and then you're wondering what happened with that, if it's hidden, it can kind of trip you up a little bit in case you need to do a non-billable note. There are different views, and it's all about what you're comfortable with. So day view, week view, that's my favorite, month view, and then there's a timeline view. So for right now, for our purposes, I'm going to use the week view. And so it will show you currently what month you're in. If these are different colored days, that will show you if there's already an appointment listed on that day. And then you can see a list of your activity of your different appointments if you click on My SAL. Also, the refresh button is so important in your calendar for when you do an appointment and then you save it. You want to be able to refresh that calendar so that everything syncs up nicely. So today, I'm just going to show you quickly how to do an appointment and then how to access your appointment again to be able to document your note. So let's get started. So I'm going to choose Monday, and you can highlight the day if you're in the day view or the week view or the month view. But since the calendar is right here, we can also access it from right here. So my day is starting from 6 to 6. And you can change your time scale to whatever it is. And if you wanted to go to filter by a client, you could also do that right here. So I am going to choose 7 to 8. And so anytime that you'd like to select a time frame, you click on it and you drag it and then you let go. And so now I have a highlighted portion right here. I'm going to right click on that. And when you right click on the highlighted portion, you do New SAL, you select that. So here, since I highlighted that time, it has done that time difference there for me. So it's 7 to 8. And if you need to update this manually, you can absolutely do that. So this next portion, you're going to choose your client. And so I'm going to choose Becky. You choose your billing code, and it has a list of a lot of non-billables here, and then there's some options for like BHH or self-pay or pendings. So pendings, if you ever need to use a pending code, that means that you don't have an option to use an actual bill code. That means that you have run out of units, something has happened, and this is kind of a huge red flag. If you need to use a pending, that means that you need to do a CSR or a request for more units with KeyPro that day. Don't wait until the last minute or 6 days later and then not be able to recoup that. Whenever you need to use a pending, that's an emergency situation, and make sure that you're talking to your program coordinators and your supervisor just to give them a heads up and say, oops, this happened, so that they can try to help you remedy this as soon as possible. For our purposes, because we're just doing a training, I'm just going to choose a non-billable. So when do you choose a non-billable? It's when it's like a communication that you can't bill for, or if you just want to put something in the client chart as informational, but it's not billable. And you're going to be doing a lot of non-billable communication depending on different scenarios and depending on what program you're in. Division, choosing the division, and you will only have options based on what is attached to you, but also the client. Location is the office location, so Becky is based out of Bangor. Room number, we don't even utilize that. That's just an option in PIMSy. And then any type of remarks that you'd like to put on there, like treatment plan review, you can put that in there. You can there's a way to make it a recurrence. You can also see any documents that you may need to follow up with, and then you can hit save and see up here the subject has now actualized, and this is a true appointment. So if you close out of here, you'll see this highlighted appointment. You'll see who the client is, their contact information on top, as well as what the appointment is for. So I'm going to go up here and save and refresh. Okay, so say that you've put your appointment in and you've had the appointment and you need to document your note. You come back into your calendar section, double click on the calendar appointment or the SAL appointment, and see how this note button is now highlighted. You can click on that and do your note. I also just want to state that if you ever just needed to look at the client really quickly to grab some information, that's right here. And again, the reoccurrence button just highlighted once we saved our appointment, in case anyone wanted to utilize that. So we're going to click on the note button. Excuse me. So it comes up with a note type. You will only ever do one note type, which is new therapy / progress note. The group notes are used for DBT therapy, and there's currently only 2 people doing that in the entire state. So just so everyone's aware, we do not do assessments or medical follow-ups as notes in PIMSy. So I'm going to click OK. And here, a lot of the information for the note has already populated for me, which is really great. So location code, this is for billing. Please, for your program, just choose one and stick with it. If you have outpatient, always choose office. If you're a case manager, always use home. Even though that's not where you might be, just choose one or the other and just kind of stick with it. It's a billing thing, like I stated. So just choose 11 or 12 and kind of stick with that. We don't use in clinic. That's just something that we don't utilize because we don't have a clinic. Location type. So this location code is for billing, right? So this location code is actually for more of where were you? Were you in the community? Were you at the home, office, other, or was this a telephone call? Okay, so I'm just going to choose telephone just for our purposes. So you indicate if this was face-to-face. So ours wasn't because it was a telephone call. If this was a collateral phone call for a collateral note, that means that I'm talking to someone outside of the agency on behalf of the client, and I have a release of information to be able to do that. So that's important to have that in place before you start talking to anyone. Then you choose the note type. So if you are a case manager, a coordinator, you would choose the case management / coordination. If you're a clinician, you would choose the clinical progress note. And if you're doing DBT, you'd choose the group note. So for our purposes, I'm just going to choose case management coordination. So here you have to indicate all goals addressed. And you should always have at least one goal that you're addressing, because that's what all of our work is based off of, Is it on the treatment plan? Is it part of what the plan is and what you're doing with the client? If it's not, you have to find a way to make it part of what's on the treatment plan. And if you need to update the treatment plan with the client because a new need has come up, you need to be able to do that before you start doing things for the client that aren't based on the treatment plan. And your supervisor can go more into that about what our policies are around documentation. List the individuals involved in contact, do a summary, and then what's the plan? What do you plan to do at the next meeting or before the next meeting? What's the plan of action? Pretty much everything below this line you're not going to utilize. Some of this for like reference, that is something that the admin do some tracking with, but this is your responsibility right here. We don't do admitted or discharged. You don't have to worry about what's going on over here. If you quickly needed to look at the client to get some information, you can do that. But once you've completed your note, you would hit release for review and then save. Okay, so that means that you are absolutely ready to send this on to review for your supervisor. Your supervisor will review it and then be able to release it to billing and payroll if necessary. So there is a step-by-step process for that. So I'm just going to exit out of here. It's saying, do you really want to go even though you haven't saved? I'll say yes, because for our purposes, or sorry, I'm going to say no. There we go. So because for our purposes, we're just getting an introduction today. So, and again, anytime that you save something or do something, just remember to hit save and close, and always, always, always save on your calendar and hit refresh. Okay? So many people save here, but don't save here, and it can cause serious problems. So that was a quick view of the calendar, of making an appointment, and also doing a note from the appointment. So next we're going to dive right in to reports.